Welcome, 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 everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Davina. And tonight, I am so excited to welcome Martha Burich, the author of Yes, You Can Raise Happy, Responsible Children. Martha is a former college child psychology professor and high school special education teacher with over 25 years of experience. She's a sought after speaker, podcast guest, and community advocate with a second book for teachers. Yes, You Can Teach Them All, coming in early 2025, which is now. Martha is passionate about empowering parents, educators to build happy, responsible families and classrooms. So, something else that I would like to share before we get started is if you're feeling stressed, lonely, or going through grief, know that you don't have to face it alone. I want you to know that you are welcome to join our Monday night support group, a safe space where you can share your feelings, connect with others who understand, and find encouragement to navigate life's challenges. So, if you haven't met me yet, my name is Davina, and I am the owner and founder of A Caring Voice for You. A Caring Voice for You is here to offer compassionate support tailored to meet your needs. Whether you need someone to talk to, guidance through a difficult time, or tools to regain your sense of peace, we are here for you. Feel free to visit caringvoiceforyou.com to learn more. So, I am ready to welcome Martha to the show. Thank you for joining us today, Martha. I'm so excited to have you here.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you, Davina.
You're welcome. So, I would like for the audience to just get to know you a little bit more. So, I shared a little bit about you, but you have so many things that I didn't even touch upon. And Martha's such a fantastic person. And I just want you all to get to know her and know a little bit about her. So, if you don't mind, Martha, can you share just a little bit about yourself before we get started?
Well, my main topics are parenting and addiction recovery. These are things that are very dear to my heart. And parents, it's really tough for parents these days. We live in a whole different world, and what's expected of us as parents and how children are being raised and the environments are completely different. And it's a whole new battleground. Really, it's a battleground. And it's kind of tough. It's really tough for parents. So I try to help parents handle that and help them deal with just the things that happen when you're raising children, which no two children are alike and no two situations are alike. So don't be discouraged. No matter what happens, it can be solved. And then also in the recovery community, people in recovery, it's a tough road to go down. And we don't know why someone has become an addict or an alcoholic. And we really need to have a little bit of compassion. Boundaries, definitely have boundaries, but we do need to have some compassion and understanding in those things. I taught child psychology for 10 years at the college level. I was a high school special education instructor.
Yeah, that's a good point. I know you talked about a battleground, and I can definitely connect with you on that because a lot of people don't know this, but my background is also in education as well. So I was a special education teacher. I was an assistant principal and a special education administrator for a few years. And you're right. It is a constant battleground when the children walk through the doors because you don't know what they're dealing with just in general. You don't know what they're dealing with at home, and then you also don't know what they're dealing with when they walk through the doors because it's a whole new community that they have to walk into when they walk into school. So, and you're so right when they can be exposed to so many things or just have to go through so many things, and it's tough for them to know which route to take because there's so many opportunities and things around them where they have to make sound choices and decisions and be in the right mindset to do that. And often they are exposed to a variety of things. So I know you've achieved so much as an educator, an author, and advocate. Can you share a little bit more about maybe obstacles maybe that you faced in your career or obstacles that you notice as you're working with these children and families that you've noticed that they have come up with? Do you have anything in mind that you can just touch upon about some obstacles or challenges that you notice that people faced and how either you helped them overcome it or you've seen different ways and strategies that they've gotten through some obstacles that they have been challenged with in their lives?
Well, I think a lot of things begin with the fact that we don't know how to say no to ourselves. As small children, we don't know, we don't accept no a lot of times. You hear more and more about 8 and 9 and 10-year olds having fits and not behaving in school, not doing what they need to do, and refusing to accept no as an answer. And one of the most important things of being a successful adult is accepting no as an answer, one, but being able to tell yourself no and following your own no. Because if we get to be adults and we cannot accept no and we don't know how to say no to ourselves, then we cause all kinds of problems. Then we get into relationships that aren't good for us. Then comes the drugs and alcohol. Then comes the me, 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 me. We get out of high school, but we live high school for the rest of our lives. So we still relive the whole high school situation, whether we were popular, whether we weren't, and it affects us until we get control of it, until we start to really examine what happened. Now, if a child is lonely, it is then their duty to be a friend. So if you're lonely, part of your problem is you need to learn how to be a friend, and the only way to learn how to be a friend is to be a friend.
All right. Well, thank you. Those are some really good tips and good nuggets that you just shared. So, I can just imagine there are probably a lot of parents out there who are, they're seeing their children, they're seeing some things that they may or may not like on how they're responding to different situations that may be occurring. And some children, because they may be lonely or they don't fit in the way that they feel like they should, they may result or turn to negative things. And to a parent that's out there that may see their child going the wrong way or just witness a few things that they're not comfortable with their child, could you share just maybe some tips or ideas on how to kind of will them back in? Every parent, just believing that every parent wants their child to be successful. They want their child to go in the right direction and not turn into negativity. And as they're getting older and blossoming, they may see them kind of make some choices that are not positive. Do you have any tips on what parents should do or ideas on what they can do if they see their child either leaning toward maybe suspecting drugs or alcohol or going into this, shell because of the loneliness? Do you have any tips that you could share on what they might be able to do?
Yes, most definitely. What we want in parent-child relationships is attachment. We want the child to appreciate the parent and the parent to appreciate the child. There really is a psychological fact that any attention is better than none. So children and people will do whatever it takes to get attention. And if they get attention for positive things, they'll do those. If they get attention for negative things, they'll do those. So what happens is we inadvertently reinforce the wrong behaviors. So as parents, because we want our children to be successful and to act right, we're constantly noticing what they do wrong and correcting them. Well, by doing that continually, children get the idea that they don't do anything right. Then they start developing those inferiority complexes. But then it also separates them from their parents because it destroys the quality relationship. So if you want to start building the relationship with your child, you have to start noticing when they do things right. And I'm not, let's say you have a 3 or 4-year-old and he's learned to tie his shoe. Don't wait for that. The minute he puts one lace over the other, yes, you've got the first step done. Great. Look at that. You're on your way. Don't wait for the finished product. Start noticing when they're attempting to do the right thing and praise that and talk about that and encourage that. Because what happens is children only hear the negative. And I was just on the podcast of a gentleman, Tony Lynch, who was a gang member for years. He went to prison for being in a gang. And he talked about he joined the gang because he was accepted there. And the gang actually did some good things in their neighborhood. They did good things in their neighborhood. They weren't completely negative. And he wanted their approval more than his parents because they gave him approval and appreciation. See, people need approval, we need appreciation, and we need attention. And when we aren't appreciated, that's why it's so important to have chores at home and for the whole family to kick in and do chores because that's our home. And we all work together to make our home comfortable and clean and nice for all of us. So you definitely want to do that. You want to have a spirit of family and camaraderie in your family. You know, the family is the building block of society. And if family is ruined, society becomes ruined. That's why you really want to do your best to have a strong family, to see the positive in your children. And when they are doing things you don't like, don't scream and yell and embarrass them in front of people or whatever. Wait for a time when you're both calm and then have a talk. A friend of mine told me her son was using his phone and everything else way too much, and his grades were suffering. So she sat down and she said, I'm really concerned about you. Um, I'm thinking that maybe you're on your phone too much. What do you think? And he admitted, he said, yes, I'm using my phone too much. And you know what? The phone, the computer, everything, they are designed by people who are experts in behavior. And that's why we get on our phone and we can't get off, because it is made to keep us scrolling, to keep us looking, to keep us watching. So we have to set timers, set parameters, and be very conscious of that. So don't let your children go to bed with phones and computers and everything in their bedrooms, and you don't know what the heck they're doing with those things. They're going to be up till 2, 3 in the morning talking to who knows who, doing who knows what, and then they aren't fresh for school or work the next day.
Yeah, you brought up some really good points. I know the wellness of a child to really check in with them and provide that positive encouragement is so important. Some things that I talk about quite often is to make sure that you check in with your children on a regular basis. Um, it's so important and it's vital to do so, even if it's a 5-minute check per day. I don't know, some parents may have like a check-in where they communicate with their children at the dinner table, but sometimes it's so chaotic with activities and things, or they might have a college student who's far away, so you can't do that check-in. But I recommend checking in as much as you can, even if it's a simple 5-minute check, asking questions, letting them know that you care, providing that positive encouragement so that you can continue to build that relationship and check in with them on things that may be going on in their lives. So, I definitely recommend to focus in on that wellness, because unless you have that communication, unless you have those talks and just those, small moments of time or large, you won't know what's going on and you won't be able to have that communication that's so vital and important to help maybe block or the negativity or build up a lot of the positivity that they may need in their lives. So that's some really good points that you brought up.
And two things I want to mention about that school. One is, if you can go to school and observe, do it. Go sit in your child's class. I used to do that with my son from the time he was in kindergarten, preschool, really, just to see what was going on, and to see how the teacher interacted with him and the other children, how the other children acted. And that helped me a lot. And then every day when he came home from school, rather than saying how was school, I would ask what's the best thing and the worst thing that happened at school today. And then I would say to him the best and worst thing that happened to me. So we actually had a conversation. And then also, you mentioned the dinner table, Davina. Well, you know what? When you sit down for a meal with a child, do not chastise them. If they've done something wrong, that is not the time to talk about it. Mealtime should be pleasant. That's the time to talk about fun things and things, your plans and what you did and the people you like and things like that. It's not a time to chastise a child for what they've done wrong. Meals should be pleasant. So really keep that in mind, and don't bring things up to your children when you're bad. You need to calm down first, and don't bring things up to your children when they're in a bad mood. You both need to calm down so you can have a discussion about these things. That's what adults do. That's what mature people do. And we want to teach our children to be mature and to handle their feelings and their frustrations and aggravations.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, to be honest with your children, because they're, you know, having them there, you're pretty much, you're training them. You're training them to be the adult, and the choices and the words that you use make a huge difference. So I agree with the honesty in those relationships and to listen. It's so easy for parents, and I think including myself sometimes, just want to when you're having a conversation, because we're older, we're wiser, we know a lot more, that you just want to share. You want to share. You're like, I know the answer. I know I've been through this or I've experienced this, and you want to just share. But we have to kind of take a step back and remember they are learning, and they need to come to a lot of the conclusions on their own, because if they don't, then they're not able to kind of navigate in the future with a variety of situations. So to really listen, take into account what they're saying. And something that I recommend to many of my clients when we have conversations, and I've talked to a couple in the past about just being silent. Allow them to vent, to share. When you're having conversations, don't interrupt, although sometimes it can be so difficult to not say a word or get a word in, but to actively listen and be mindful of the words that they're choosing to use, and think about what they're saying when they're saying it. And then, and I think you brought this up several times, reflect on the words that they already talked about, and to help the conversation flow and to let them know that you were listening. Kind of fast forward, there are a lot of parents, and especially with A Caring Voice for You, we support college students and we support parents of college students as well. And there are a lot of parents who, they don't see their children or their college students that much. But, just like it is right now, it's break, and there are college students who are home, and then in the summertime as well, they're typically home in different breaks throughout the year, or they may have college students who live with them throughout the year. If you see your college student kind of going toward a different route, and you've used many of the strategies that you shared, such as just validating their concerns, really supporting them, doing the best that you can, but you see them maybe withdrawing or not being themselves, what are some signs that you can share for parents to just watch out for with drug use, either for high school students or college students, or ways that they know are red flags that they should really just maybe connect with their child a little bit more, and maybe take some steps to build up that communication in case they may be worried? What are some red flags that you think they should kind of touch upon, or realize that something may not be right?
This is a difficult subject because when kids become teenagers around 13, 14, that's when they start divorcing their parents because they're growing up, and they have to, they start looking around and thinking, huh, my dad's not so smart. God, I thought my mom knew more than she did. And, and then they start comparing their parents to other people's parents, but they kind of have to. But that's also a time when they do not need to be disrespectful, because then they start to get disrespectful and rude, and you don't have to put up with that. You can say, look, I know that you're going through, a typical teenage thing, but I'm still your mother. I love you, and I expect you to respect me. I deserve that as a human being. And so definitely have that conversation. Now, just, keep your eyes open for what your child is doing. And if your child is one who's very easily swayed with other friends and things, really pay attention. I really recommend that you get to know everybody your child knows. Call up the parents of go to their houses, see what's going on at their houses. Otherwise, you have no idea what their parents are like, and what the child is like, and what influences that child is dealing with. So it's very important that you monitor that, really, until, well, once they go to college. Then if they're still living in your home, there are certain things that you have to do, because you have to protect yourself. If your child is a drug addict and they're illegal drugs, you could lose your home. That can't be allowed. That cannot be allowed. And you have to tell your child, I love you, and you cannot bring drugs into this home. This is where we live, and I'm not going to lose my home because of this. And so you definitely have to have boundaries. You have to have boundaries. And you also have to be very careful that you aren't, I guess the word is codependent, because a lot of times parents, thinking that they're keeping their children from doing drugs, are pushing them to them, and they're making it worse, reminding them every time they do something wrong, reminding them what they did the last time that they were drunk, or constantly harping on the child, what they do or what they did. And a better conversation is, what are your plans for the future? Do you think that the way you're acting now and the things you do now are going to bring you that? Because having a compelling future is the number one way to change your life. So start thinking, what is it that I really want in my life? And ask your child, what is it that you want in your life? And see, and now we come to the part where, is the child going after what they really want, or are they going after what they think they can have? A lot of people become alcoholics and drug addicts because they're constantly going after what they think they can have, and they're afraid to go after what they really want, so they drink and drug their real desires away, thinking they can't have it. And that's that example I give. Your 8-year-old comes home from school and says, oh boy, there's a play at school. I'm going to try out for the lead. Honey, a play, that's nice. Oh, but the lead. Why don't you try out to be one of the trees? You'll probably get that part. You probably won't get the lead. So right off, you're teaching the child not to go for what they really want. And that's one of my 3 P's, 3 L's of parenting. Let them fail. Let the child go after the part they really want and fail so that they can learn what they need to do to get the part next time. Michael Jordan was kicked out of the coach didn't even put him on the high school team, I think the second year. And the coach said, "You don't work hard enough. You don't care enough." That got Michael Jordan to practice and practice and practice and practice and to become one of the greatest basketball players ever. It usually is through failure that we get the information we need to then rise up and become better. Everybody fails, and if you think that you're not going to fail, you're not going to get out of life alive. Every living thing dies. Everybody who tries is going to fail. So the people who fail the most are the people who try hard things, who try new things, different things. So the more that you fail, the better, because that means that you're one step closer to success. Tony Robbins says people overestimate what they can do in a year and underestimate what they can accomplish in 10 years. Very, 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 very few people get success in a year. When you hear actors, businessmen, they talk about, failing again and again and again. Mr. Beast, he was on YouTube for years, at least 7 years, before he started to get any traction. So if you really want something, do not quit. That's got to be your motto. Do not quit. Yes, okay. Unfortunately, I just went 6 steps back, but I'm not quitting. I'm walking, I'm going to continue walking on this journey. And that's how life is. 5 steps forward, 6 steps back. Some days it's 10 steps forwards and no steps back. So just keep plugging away. It's going to be all right.
That's awesome. Keep moving forward. Don't give up. So, let me touch upon just some of our audience members who may be watching tonight. If you feel overwhelmed or stressed or going through grief, Martha, could you share maybe some words of encouragement? What would you offer to them to help them move forward and to have hope? What would you suggest?
Everybody feels that. I get in a tizzy because of AI and computers and new software. And, it's like every time I go to do something, like, oh, now I have to learn something new. Now I have to watch another YouTube video, how to figure this out, how to figure out Canva, this, that, and the other, whatever. And, so every day I'm really frustrated and annoyed. But what it means is that I'm trying new things and I'm doing new things. So I could just sit around and watch TV all day. Now that would be the biggest mistake of all. There's no life there. People who constantly want to be entertained are not living life to the fullest. Our duty, to me, as human beings, is to be useful to the world in some way, whether that's walking a dog, whether that's playing with our children, whether that's extending a hand to a lonely person, whether it's going to a nursing home, talking to people who are lonely. If you're lonely, go to the nursing home. There's plenty of lonely people there who need somebody to talk to. So, find a way to be useful, and that's the greatest thing. So get out of your ego and get out of me, and start thinking, how can I be useful? What can I do to be a better human being? Maybe you have neighbors who need help. An 8-year-old, a 10-year-old could have a little garbage business. Have your children start doing a business. They have elderly neighbors. Would you like me to take your garbage out? It's $10 a month, a week, whatever. Would you like me to walk your dog, pick up the dog poop? Find ways to be useful and for your children to be useful, because there's no better feeling than helping someone. And in fact, I'm gonna cry. We had a new fellow come to AA, and he had only been sober 30 days, and I happened to have one of those little plastic coins for 30 days, and I gave it to him. Well, the other night, he was at 50 days and he came to show me his wife had bought him a keychain to put that coin on. And he talked about how his life has totally changed in these 50 days since he stopped drinking, and that he and the wife are closer and he and the children are closer. He said they were the best 50 days of his life. That's very moving. And and what did I do? I handed him something that I had. You know what I mean? It wasn't even a big deal. I just said, I noticed his struggle and said, here, this is what helped me. So you start looking around and stop looking at your struggle and start looking at other people's struggles. What can you do to help them? How can you be of value? So that means, if you're at McDonald's or wherever, pay for the guy behind you. Say, you know what? Pick up that guy's meal. Just do something nice for somebody else. Pick up trash if you see it. Just when you go to the store, just smile at people. You have no idea what people are going through.
Yes, yes, I agree. Finding hope in just making others feel good or to help others in different situations can make a world of a difference in your own life. Because when you see the difference that you'll make by helping someone else, I don't know, for me, it just builds me up. And I often talk to my clients about that, ways to kind of get through different ways, even sometimes going through grief or just a variety of other ways, loneliness. Finding gratitude and doing things for others can help motivate you and get you up and get you going to feel back to sometimes your old self, or have moments where you are feeling like you have in the past. So I totally agree with you. It will make a world of a difference to help others in doing things for them. So
And
that's wonderful.
the whole idea of what other people are going through. Last week, I was in a group at the treatment center of 8 women. Out of the 8 women, 3 had lost children. That's that's hard. And one of them, she lost both of her sons to alcohol. One of them lost her son to drug addiction,
Hmm.
and the other one lost her daughter when she was a baby. So you have no idea what people are going through, and you have to have some compassion and understanding. And one day I was driving on a road that's 55, a 2-lane road, 55, and the woman in front of me was really driving slow. And I was like, "What are you driving so slow?" I was getting all bent out of shape. I was like, "Will you speed up?" And then I thought, "Martha, what's your problem? Why don't you can pass her? You can pass her if it bothers you so bad that she isn't driving fast enough, pass her." And then I thought, "No, I don't feel like it." And, and what I really realized was I was enjoying being mad. I was enjoying having a fit. And then I didn't yell at the woman or say anything ignorant to her or give her the finger or anything, but, I was just having my own little private aggravation time. And I don't know, I'm human. I guess that's my crazy. We all have our little crazy, but at least I'm not bothering anybody else with it. But, when I came to that realization, oh, Martha, what are you going to fit about? She's just driving. Just pass
Yeah.
her if it's that big a deal. No, I don't feel like it. No, I'd rather, have one of my little fits for whatever reason. So, yes, so if you want to have one of your little fits, just go in your own little bedroom, shut your mouth. Just because somebody aggravates you. And let me tell you another story. I was washing the dishes, and at my house, I live with my brother, my older brother, and my son. So I'm washing the dishes, and I don't wash their dishes. Sometimes they'll leave one or two in the sink, but it's unusual. But anyway, so there were one or two left in the sink, and I'm washing them, and I'm all bent out of shape. And I'm washing the dishes. Nobody wash dishes around here. And I know that's all a lie. They take care of themselves. It's very rare. And I'm just playing games as usual, loving to blame, etc. Well, I look out the window, and there's my brother mowing the grass and my son on a ladder cleaning the gutters. And I'm thinking to myself, there you go, Martha. You want to wash dishes, or you want to get out there and mow the lawn and clean the gutter? No, I think I'll wash dishes.
It sounds so much easier, right? Love that. So you never, like you said, you never know what someone else is maybe going through or what they may be doing. So just kind of open your eyes and look a little bit further than within yourself and look at others. So that's beautiful. Well, it was so nice having you on the show, Martha. I thank you so much for being here. So can you tell our audience if they would like to get in touch with you for some just information or just to collaborate, how would they get in touch with you?
Well, you can reach me on Facebook or LinkedIn, Martha Burich. And here's my book. Yes, you can raise happy, responsible children. And this is available at Amazon. And Jack Canfield did endorse this book, the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul. Jack said, this book has the potential to transform the lives of families worldwide. And it's just 60 pages, just boom, boom, boom. It's exactly the information I used to turn my son around because we thought we were being good parents by never saying no. We were wrong. You got to learn to say no, and the child needs to learn to accept no. But so the chapters are building self-esteem, discipline, creating positive relationships with your children, raising smart children, meal times, at the grocery store, travel, creating a safe home to strengthen your marriage. So it's just a quick, easy read, but it has all the quick things that you need to do if something comes up, and how to establish that relationship with your child and with others.
That's great. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit about your book and ways for our audience to get in touch with you if they would like to learn more. Well, I thank you everyone for attending and just spending your precious time with us. You could have been anywhere else, but you decided to listen and communicate and be with us for tonight. If you would like to learn more about our support group or services for wellness support with A Caring Voice for You, please visit caringvoiceforyou.com or give us a call at 833-829-1088. Until next time, take care, everyone.